types, different biomes, and so in this way we try and cover, a big area. We try and cover different biomes, and so the example of this one, the one there by the Lesotho border, so that is Cathedral Peak, and that means we actually have observations where you've got high lying. So in terms of the research we do, we look at low lying, the altitude, and then as well as high, we look at the impact of altitude on meteorology or in the environment in general. So we feel we are well positioned to facilitate multi-institutional research and catalyze global change science. This is just an example of the Cathedral Peak. So somewhere you can see we've got some distribution of rain gauges where you see the blue dots. So we've got some landscapes where, for example, have catchments where we have different vegetation types, and then we look at the impact of different vegetation types on water security, as well as on the crop stocks, for example, carbon stocks, I mean. So the South African government, through the Science and Innovation Department, is implementing the South African Research Infrastructure Roadmap, the SARIR program. It was launched in 2016. There were 13 research infrastructures that were identified in different disciplines. And for environment, there were 5 that were identified, and SAEON hosts 3 of the 13 in total. So we've got the Expanded Freshwater and Terrestrial Environmental Observation Network, FTEON. With FTEON, we have identified 6 landscapes. You can see them there in red. And again, with these landscapes, we try and cover different areas. We try and cover, impacts of us as humans on the environment and how the environment is impacting on us. We would like to take observations of the atmosphere, of the atmospheric chemistry, the hydrology. I mean, with water, we're interested in the water quality as well as the water quantity. Then we've got the Shallow Marine and Coastal Research Infrastructure, SMECRI, where we want to take observations across the whole coastal line of South Africa, as well as within the shallow waters. So we've got a number of platforms. So we've got an aircraft, we have some ships, and we've got a hyperbaric chamber which is used for the divers. So there's a whole lot in terms of the platforms that have been established. Then we also have the South African Polar Research Infrastructure, SAPRI, and with SAPRI, the idea is that we'd like to be able to take observations in the deep oceans. So we're looking at long-term observations on land, that's looking at the islands, looking at Antarctica, long-term observations in the oceans, so the deep oceans. So we work, for example, with the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, where we go out on a ship, and we've got divers that will go out. We look at the physical oceanography. We also look at the biodiversity. We are working, for example, with Stellenbosch, who are hosting our data products and societal benefits node. We are working with the University of Cape Town that's hosting our polar lab. So in terms of modeling, so my background is in modeling, and this is really just to say, basically as a background, what is happening with modeling in South Africa. So we know that when it comes to weather forecasting, there is a whole lot of that research that is taking place. I think that is really just in relation to the current conference looking at high performance computing, that you need the high performance computers to be able to run models. And South Africa as a country, we have got a lot of experience. There are models, for example, for weather forecasting. There is the Weather Research and Forecasting model. There is COSMO model that's running. We've got the Conformal Cubic Atmospheric model that is running in a number of institutions. And these models are being used for weather forecasting. We've got models that are running to do seasonal forecasting. And we also have models that are running where we look at climate change projections, like, looking at what's going to happen way in the future, going up to about 2100. And there are also models running in South Africa where we look at paleoclimate studies. Within SAEON, we are also running ocean models. We know the CSIR is also running NEMO, and in SAEON we run ROMS, and we have a program that is running called Shumishana. So this is supposed to be CPD, to say we want to work together to develop capacity around ocean modeling. So there are training workshops that we conduct. on how to optimize these codes, how to run them, and we're also working with the Department of DFFE, Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment, on a MIMS project. It's Marine Information System that has been developed to assist in decision making in marine in general. So in terms of modeling, this is just, I mentioned the nodes that we have, that we do terrestrial sciences. We're interested in the atmosphere, we're interested in the oceans. And this is basically to say, through what we have, all the platforms we have within SAEON, we can be able to characterize when it comes to Earth system research or Earth system modeling. So these models, for example, if you consider what we call state of the art in seasonal forecasting, you want to have the ocean that's coupled to the atmosphere. And again, if you want to do some decadal predictions, you want to have different components that are coupled to each other. And obviously, we do need some infrastructure to be able to run these models. We do conduct some workshops. Just on Monday and Tuesday, we ran a workshop where we invited different stakeholders from South Africa, where we're talking about the development of models here in South Africa. So we are basically engaging with others in South Africa, because the models that we are using right now to conduct operational weather forecasting, to do climate change projections, were all developed outside of the African continent. So through work we are doing, like through our observations, we want to be able to inform what goes into these models. The observations can be used for data assimilation, so that to initialize the models, but then these same observations assist us with understanding the Earth systems processes in general, and then we can represent those processes in the model, so that we move away from the black box approach. Within SAEON, we have a very active science engagement team. So with this team, we are engaging with the school learners. So with the nodes that we've got distributed across the country that I showed earlier, we are engaging, for example, with the grade 11 learners, where we put some sensors, and these learners will look after those sensors, and they learn how to analyze data that is coming out of, that is being observed. We engage with the educators. For example, we run training programs to show teachers how to use QGIS, for example. And we also engage with the graduates. We run the Graduate Student Network, the GSN. In October, we had a number of students meeting in Kimberley, where training was provided on R, on Python, and we also showed them our observation network, so that they can learn how to use these observation networks. And this in itself, I think, will assist, because within South Africa itself, would like to see more inclusion. You want to have a learner, who stays in a rural area, knowing that there are possibilities in terms of career in marine sciences, in atmospheric sciences, and in the terrestrial sciences. We also have an open data policy. So we've got a catalog. So when you go on our website, you can go there and search different types of data sets. On our platform, we also provide an opportunity for other organizations to upload their data to make it accessible. Because if you have an open data policy and your data is not available on some website, it will be difficult for you, because you keep getting requests on email to provide the data. So we have developed a platform that makes it possible for organizations that are within our discipline to share their data. So it's not just SAEON data that can be made available. It's data from other sister organizations that are interested in sharing their data set outside. So we are also working with scientists across the globe. So SAEON is a founding member of the Global Ecosystem Research Infrastructure. So what this makes possible for us is, it provides us with linkages that we can use to be able to work on international projects. We, for example, now have a project which is funded by the European Commission, where we are collaborating with scientists that are based in Europe, as well as a number of other African countries, where we are thinking of expanding the observation network across the continent. I showed you earlier that with our observation network is based across the African continent. So this is my last slide. I see I did very well with time there. So the research, as I've shown, that we are conducting within SAEON is multidisciplinary, and this is really in the sense of we're interested in the Earth system in general. We're interested in what is happening in the oceans. We're interested in what's happening on land. We're interested in how we interact as human beings with our environment and how our environment is also impacting on us. Then in terms of the observation networks that we have, I mean, you need to have technicians, you need engineers, you need scientists. So we are interested in collaborating. And when we have opportunities, we do advertise. So do look out, do check our website when we advertise. Perhaps, yeah, soon you might be part of SAEON. Then in terms of modeling, we are interested in process studies. So as I mentioned, our observation network can assist us with that. And we need to be working with software developers, with the numerical techniques and optimization of models so that, models can be able to output data well in advance. And we've got an open data policy, so our data is really available for the scientists to use. We've got a really active outreach program, so those that are interested in working with us, to engage more with the learners, engage more with the educators, engage more with the postgraduate students, we are available for collaboration. And as SAEON, we were established to become a national facility. We have not been declared as such as yet, but then the platforms that we have developed, our platforms are there for the South African community to use. So it's not platforms for SAEON to use. We use them, of course, but the platforms are there for South Africa to use. So we are open for you to engage with us if you'd like to use some of the platforms that we have established. Thank you.
On behalf of the research team, there's just this little token of appreciation for your presentation. We really appreciate it, and it's fantastic to see the size of that infrastructure. I don't think everybody in this room knows about what's behind the scenes with it also. Thank you very much for your presentation. Really appreciate it.